fraud, based on coercion, based on bullying, based on conquest. And the United States has been part conquest, but part innovation and part freedom. Other countries have been almost completely conquest. The British Empire became successful because it was part conquest, but also large part innovation and free market. And the United States was an extension of that, of people demanding an even bigger percentage of what they produced. Well, we're going back to the third world model, basically, or the old world model. And it's that simple. Gerald Celente, who's coming up in the next hour, has his new Trends Journal out, and it shows a 6-armed fat man sitting in a Buddhist-type pose with iPhones, iPads, video game controllers, Coca-Colas, hamburgers, and malts, or shakes. And it says, don't blame Obamacare, blame I don't care. And in between the guy's legs is a time bomb, the old classic round black bomb, you know, that Netanyahu held up. Instead, it's the globe with a fuse burning towards it. And that's about right. It's not just that the elite are out of control. It's that they don't even know what they're doing more and more. It's kind of like we live in the civilization built by our ancestors, and we even live in the elite system, the elite setup under eugenics, and they kind of projected the future 100 years ago, 80 years ago, 60 years ago, 20 years ago. But now more and more, it's just delusion. It's crazy town. I mean, our government wouldn't let the troops use DU until 1990 because it's a death sentence. They used to care if nuclear reactors were leaking until now. They used to care if drug-resistant TB was coming across the border, or they wouldn't fly Ebola patients into the U.S. in the past. That's why it's the first time. Because it's a recklessness, a crazy recklessness. And then we were playing part of the interview with the Marine Corps colonel that we're going to exclusively premiere in the 4th hour today. And he was pointing out all these people that get caught being pedophiles in government, and the government covers it up. Meanwhile, Google reads all of your email to, quote, find pedophiles. No, they mine all the data and sell it on record. And now because they've been caught doing it, they just gave the police some info on pedophiles. We read everyone's mail because you're all guilty until proven innocent. That's in the news today. Google scans Gmail accounts for child abuse. Now it's not just child porn or something. Oh, if you talk about spanking your kid, they're going to take them. But see how they roll that out? Oh, yeah, we are reading everything you do to stop pedophilia. With the UN and DynCorp up to their eyeballs in it. This is what we're really dealing with. And we're dealing with a government that lives in Switzerland, lives in Luxembourg, lives in Monte Carlo, who've stolen hundreds of millions mid-level, billions high-level. And their rearguard action is just flood the country, break it down, implode it, and turn us into one giant Latin American slum and never let those people have any freedom and have everything be racially based now. We'll have a party of the white people and a party of the Hispanics and a party of the black people, and the police is referee over all of us, and America is one giant prison. Oh, yeah, they've been segregating people for decades into their racial groups in prisons, and that's the management model for America. But if you won't play along and segregate yourself into a racial group controlled by your gang boss who goes and, you know, plays cards with the warden, and your gang boss that sells you drugs, that the money goes back to the warden, if you don't play ball, well, they've got to infuse racial garbage in the name of fighting racial division through multiculturalism in all the schools and in the media. I mean, if you had white media saying we are for white people and we will conquer the blacks and Hispanics, we are the supreme race, they'd be all over the news. But when the Spanish media does that, it's okay, but it's owned by the big drug cartels on record. It's owned by the big banks. It's a psyop, folks, and we're here telling you what's happening. For the balance of the hour, William Geen, who joined us last week of alipac.com, alipac.com, will be joining us. They're kind of the gun owners of America for Borders. They got protests nationwide yesterday, and they're trying to draw attention to what's happening. The polls show this is backfiring, even with Hispanics, against Obama, because they're not stupid. They go, we're going to have unlimited Guatemalans and Brazilians and everybody else here, because there's so much nationalism between those countries that finally folks are waking up on the Hispanic end. But the Democrats are just, hey, if you're brown, you're good. If you're white, you're El Diablo. If you're Blackbird, they use a racial term for it, means Mayata. Sorry for using it, but it's for documentary terms. You're not in the club. And so it's, again, a giant supermax prison management model. And I don't want to live in that. I want to live in a country where we're unified around freedom and prosperity and hard work, not around the Democratic Party, a.k.a. founders of the Ku Klux Klan. William Geen, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here, Alex. And want to just quickly mention your article about the 2 illegal aliens that killed Javier Vega Jr., our Border Patrol agent. You know, I just wanted to mention him because he was murdered by 2 illegal aliens in front of his mother and his father. And in a way, he's sort of symbolic of all of us that are standing up fighting against illegal immigration, trying to defend our families from the hardship and damages caused by illegal immigrants and illegal immigration. Of course, not all illegal immigrants are murderers, and I have to say that because of our enemies that patrol for anything they can grab out of context. But I think that Patrolman Vega, you know, being killed in front of his family like that shows exactly, you know, what the real dangers involved with illegal immigration are. And even after appearing on your show last time to talk about the protest against illegal immigration and the effort to take Lamar Alexander out of office in Tennessee, I received a lot of death threats online through the George Soros hate group Right Wing Watch, which apparently is developing a reputation for generating threats of violence and death against people that do not agree with their communist agenda.
Oh, well, they've had a big rash of problems documented in the news the last few months, where professors get up at the start of school and college and say, if you're in the Tea Party, get out of my class. I'm going to give you a failing grade. I want to kill you. I want to put you in a body bag. I mean, these are not liberals like so many people in the 60s or something. This is a deranged gang who just wants total power and I guess have some fantasy that they're going to be like Stalinist enforcers.
Well, on Facebook seems to allow them free reign to do so. And Facebook and Google are both practically extensions of the U.S. government at this point due to the massive amount of tax breaks they get and the fact that the CEOs of both are on board with Barack Obama with his immigration reform amnesty plans, amongst other agendas, as well as being a part of the surveillance society that they're now wrapping around every person in this hemisphere. So we've got a situation where the death threats are increasing. Right Wing Watch had their YouTube account suspended because of death threats against one of their targets. Yesterday, just this morning, we got a report that a convoy of Americans that are forming a convoy along the southwest border right now to bring attention to the border crisis have had to cancel events because of online death threats. So basically, hate groups like Right Wing Watch and others are stirring up death threats against peaceful, political, and racially inclusive American nationalists.
Well, by the way, if folks start canceling convoys, I'm going to have to do one. Because, I mean, so what if people death threat? We get death threats all the time. I had an event with Jesse Ventura and Willie Nelson. It was Willie's idea. It wasn't even my plan, because I could care less about speaking to a venue of 10,000 people. I've done it so many times. But he wanted to do it, so we were going to come speak at the last place at the backyard before they closed it and moved it. And they got death threats, and the head of it said, no, you can't speak now because of this. And we said, fine, but then he still got even more upset. I mean, it's just like, this is literally a nation of cowards. I mean, I get death threats all the time, and I'm not bashing the convoy, but why cancel events because the Hispanic Ku Klux Klan threatens it?
Well, you know, I thought the same thing, but the truth of the matter is that's Eric Odom's caravan, and I'm not going to tell him how to run his show because, hey, we need everybody out there doing what they can, how they can do it, and just because it's not the way I would have handled it. But I understand your concern. We can't start letting people use the heckler's veto and the death threats and the menacing to get their way. So I agree you have a very strong point there, but at the same time, the call's got to be made by someone on the ground.
And by the way, folks, I'm on record going to public deals on the street with no bodyguards. So anybody saying, oh, yeah, right, Alex, I'm on record. The videos,
Alex,
there's hundreds of them out there. I don't care. I'm not a coward.
Alex, these communists and cartel and these backers, including many people in suits and ties, these backers of the costly and deadly illegal alien invasion of our American homeland that's killing thousands of our citizens each year, just like our Border Patrol agent Vega just got killed, need to understand. Many of us either are veterans or are descendants of the veterans that fought the wars and paid the taxes and spilled the blood, their own blood, to defend our Constitution and way of life. And we do not back down to threats. In fact, we point them out with the ability to tell our fellow countrymen that we're being targeted because of what we have to say is a threat to their socialist and communistic plans for this country's destruction.
Well, it's just unbelievable, because I'm somebody that's protested the Klan because of their bullying and their sickening activities and their threats against people. And the black folks, you know, still come out and protest against them back when they were blowing up their